makes the difference. The data doesn't change anyone's life. It's the academic advisor that changes people's lives. And I'm interested in data because data can help us spend time with the right people. Like, data can help you find the student who you need to be sitting with right now. But data can't have the conversation that you need to have with the student. And so a lot of what I'm pitching here isn't use analytics because analytics are slick. I'm saying use analytics because it's going to help you connect with students who need you to connect with them. So let's talk about the priorities of analytics work. The first priority of analytics work is always the advising alliance between you and the student. And if you're not taking notes, now actually is a good time to take notes, because the next three things I'm going to tell you will serve you well if you have them written down. So the first priority of any analytics use should be your alliance with the students. All of our research in higher education shows repeatedly that it's human relationships that actually change students' lives and keep them enrolled when they otherwise would have left. And so the reason why this is labeled necessary and sufficient is because without a good alliance, you can have a mountain of data, but without a good alliance, nothing's going to happen, right? If you can't sit with and be with your students and hear them and hear their voice and have them tell their story in an appreciative way, then no mountain of data is going to matter. It's also sufficient even without anything else, any other tools. If you were just a good human being and met with students on your caseload and like talk to them, good things would happen, right? You would problem solve, you would help them through. And so it's almost like, what do we need anything else for? But people who really care about their students, we don't need anything else. The advising alliance is necessary, sufficient, it's all you need. And that's true. I actually believe in that. It's how actually advising got done for the 50 years before analytics was invented, right? Like, literally, advisors used to have paper and themselves and a pencil, and the students would show up and they'd change lives. Okay, so we know advising works because of the relationships. Well, why use analytics then? What's even the point? Well, the next priority, I'm going to skip 2 and I'm going to go to priority 3. Whatever else analytics is always embedded in a workflow tool, workflow software. And workflow and caseload management software and features, they really make your life easy. It helps you to know who your students are. It helps you to send emails to them in batches. It helps, there's all these buttons. And in the software I'm about to show you, which is why we're going through all this, in the software I'm about to show you, there is 1 million buttons. And almost none of them are what I would call analytics. Of the 1 million buttons I'm going to show you in the second half of this training today, almost none of them are analytics based. And I would hate for you to come away from today's training believing that I was helping you with analytics, because a lot of what I'm going to show you today is about workflow and caseload management features, and they're neither necessary nor sufficient. You can do the job without them, and if you have them, they don't get the work done. They're still nice and important. We don't want to dismiss them. But I learned in a lot of my other trainings earlier in my work, like 4 years ago, that when I would train advisors on all these buttons they could click, they came away with the impression that sending emails through software or clicking a lot of buttons in a software tool is doing the work of analytics, and it's not. And so this whole slide deck is created to dispel any sense that you have that clicking buttons is doing analytics. It's not. And that's why we skipped over priority 2, okay? Because priority 3, it's still a priority, it's still fine, it's still important, but don't confuse yourself into thinking that when you're sending emails, you're doing analytics, okay? So priority 1 is meeting with the student, being like this whole person and having a holistic relationship with them. 3 is this workflow stuff. 2 is the analytics. This is predictive analytics. This is why we buy software and why my job exists, is to help you accomplish priority 2. So priority 2 is what's called opportunity identification. You could also call that risk identification. Opportunity identification and targeted outreach, which we call predictive analytics. You're doing analytics anytime you rely on a system like Civitas, like Inspire, what I'm going to show you today, to help you think through who you need to be sitting with right now. So you're identifying opportunities to connect with students, and then you're targeting outreach to them and saying, you're who I need to meet with today. Now, you don't email them and say, dear Johnny, I have an analytics system that tells me you're red and you need to meet with me. In fact, you could see in those 2 recorded webinars, we don't do that. Like, don't do that. But once the student comes through your door, the analytics stop mattering. So 3 is, this is like, it helps me send the email and I can filter onto this group or that group. 2 is like, I know who's in trouble. I know who's experiencing some vulnerabilities. And 1 is, now I'm sitting with them. Once you're sitting with them, it's you and them. It's the alliance. I want analytics in the drawer because the analytics don't help you have the conversation. Now, there's some things you might show the student, like their current grades in Canvas. You might have a talk with them, like, hey, can I show you these? But that's not analytics. That's a caseload management or workflow management feature of, we're going to look at your grades together. But your alliance with the students is what matters. And I never want to come away from one of these trainings having you believe that somehow I think software is going to save the day. Software doesn't save the day.